Every city has streets that never sleep, where the street lights hum and the pavement reflects a pale orange glow even when there's no traffic. I worked as a late-night courier in one of those cities. Quiet shifts, big trucks hauling freight. Most nights, nothing happens. But one night, on the fringe of town, I delivered something I never should have, and something followed me all the way home. This is the Midnight Delivery. If you enjoy these stories, like and subscribe for more stories like this, narrated by an actual human. I'd been doing night deliveries for 3 years, mostly for a logistics company that handled overnight freight when the highways were clear. The benefit? Open roads. The cost? Being alone while everyone else was asleep. It was a Thursday evening in early November when the dispatcher called with a special run. The kind where the pay was better, but the details were sparse. He said, "Pick up at 10:45 p.m., Warehouse 37 on the South Industrial Spur. Drop at Old Riverton Mill after midnight." The Riverton Mill, an old brick complex half abandoned, half repurposed by artists and small startup offices. I'd hauled a few loads there before. It was quiet enough. As I exited the freeway spur onto the service road for Warehouse 37, the skies were low, street lights casting halos in the mist. The building looked like a skeleton in its yard lights, hulking brick and dark windows. I backed the trailer up to a side loading door. A man in a dark hoodie met me, handed me a clipboard. He didn't speak much, just nodded. I signed the receipt. He pointed to the crate. "2 men will be inside when you deliver," he said. "Don't get out until they bring it in." I loaded the pallet. Nothing marked, no destination address on the box, just a plain crate, unbranded. I tucked the paperwork away and set off. The drop-off was scheduled for 1:15 a.m. at a small back entrance of the Riverton Mill. I arrived slightly early. The parking lot was nearly empty. The old neon sign flickered overhead, Riverton Mill Co. I parked and slipped into the building through an unlocked service door. The lobby was deserted. A single floor lamp on its side spilled weak light across stained carpet. 2 men came out from a door marked "Supply Storage, Staff Only," wearing plain black jackets. One nodded, the other held a scanner. They motioned for me to follow them, and we made our way back to the loading dock where my truck was parked. Inside the trailer, I watched them unload the crate. It was heavy. Pallet jack and then forklift. No words, no names. They scanned the barcode, signed my log. That was it. "Thanks for the run," the first man said. He offered no name. I asked, "Do you mind telling me what's inside?" He frowned. "Company property, classified." Only then did I notice. They hadn't turned on the building lights. The loading area was dark. My trailer lights and the glow of the parking lot lights were the only thing illuminating the area. The 2 men stood by the crate. Below one of them, I saw a single, damp footprint on the floor. Not wet, just a faint sheen. I thought, must be condensation. But when I glanced at the trailer floor, it looked perfectly dry. With the crate gone, I rolled the door shut and got back in the truck. The engine purred and the cab was warm. As I pulled out, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The 2 men paused in the shadow, just silhouettes, until I drove off. A few nights later, I got a call. Same crate, same pickup. Midnight, Warehouse 37, drop at Riverton Mill. I thought maybe it was recurring. Everything went as before. I loaded the crate, signed, left. Dropped the crate with the same 2 men in black jackets at the mill loading dock. They stood in the dark, watching me drive away just as before. On the way home, in one glance of my side view mirror at a stop sign, I caught movement in the dark behind the trailer. It almost looked like the 2 black-jacketed men, but as soon as I looked again, there was nothing there. A few minutes later, I was driving through a tunnel and saw the rearview camera flicker. On the screen, the cargo door of the trailer was open, even though I had double-checked it before I left. I hit the hazard switch, and the camera screen went blank for a moment. Then, the trailer door closed. My breath caught in my throat. I pulled onto the shoulder, heart thumping. I gave myself a moment to calm down and checked the door again manually. Locked. The monitor showed secure. I resumed driving, but the feeling followed, a presence behind me. Not just on the road, but inside the truck. The radio crackled, static, then a faint whisper. "Don't stop." I turned it off. It never came back. At home that morning, I peeled off my uniform and showered. In the mirror, I saw a faint shape, like a shoe print. I wiped it off. It reappeared when I blew on the mirror. I didn't sleep well that day. The next night, the assignment came. I thought to decline, but the money was good. I got the pickup at 11:50 p.m. this time. Destination, Riverton Mill again. As I approached the lot, I noticed it was fully lit. The neon sign blazing, trucks inside, workers moving. At the service entrance, I saw none of the familiar signs. No black-jacketed men, no scanning equipment. The loading dock door was open, so I unloaded the crate from the truck myself. As I set it down just inside the loading dock door, I stepped back and heard a voice behind me. "You did good." I turned. No one. Just me and the crate. The air tasted colder. I exhaled white mist. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered off and then on. I picked up my scanner to confirm delivery. The screen displayed destination unknown. I thought I'd misscanned. I tried again, same message. Then behind me, footsteps, soft and slow. I turned. No one. The loading dock was silent except for my truck idling. I reached to close the cargo door and froze. On the floor of the trailer, the same damp footprint I'd seen before. I stared. Then behind me stood the two black-jacketed men in the loading dock doorway. "Thank you for your help," one said, his voice flat. "We'll take it from here." Panic swirled in my head, but I tried to play it cool. "I couldn't find you guys, so I just put the crate here. Where were you?" "Just finalizing the transfer," the second man said. He tapped the crate. "You're clear." My hands shook. The first man touched my shoulder. "Don't worry, you'll be home soon." In the truck, I drove away from the loading dock slowly. They watched. The lights on the truck gauges flickered. The image on the cargo camera became static for a half second, and I saw the figure of a black-jacketed man standing inside the trailer, holding a flashlight pointed at the camera. Then, the screen went black. I slammed the pedal to the floor, the tires howled, and I didn't stop until I got home. The next morning, the dispatch radio was silent. When I called in, I reported nothing weird. They said, "All clear, good job." No mention of the crate, no destination records. I went on leave for a few nights. But at home, nothing felt right. I kept replaying the last delivery in my mind, and how it was so different. Lights on, workers around the mill, the first man touching my shoulder and saying, "Don't worry, you'll be home soon." How did he know I'd be headed home? I looked at the crate paperwork again. On the bottom, in fine print, property transferred to Amcorp Oversight Division, code 47-12. I Googled it, nothing. Sleep deprivation caught up. One night, I awoke at 3 a.m. to the sound of metal chains dragging across concrete. When I looked out my window at the street, I saw the trailer parked by the curb. But I live in a townhouse complex. There's no street access for a trailer. The taillights glowed faintly, the freight company logo visible. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, nothing. That evening, I got a call from the dispatcher. "You're scheduled for a run at 12:15. Warehouse 37, standard rate." I told him, "I'm off this week." He said, "You're needed." I quit. I turned in my uniform and resigned. Weeks later, I saw a post online. Riverton Mill had reopened its freight transfer wing under new management. Employees reported hearing footsteps after hours, lights flickering, and one night security found a crate, broken open, empty, with chains inside. Police files cited unauthorized material transfer. After that, the area was sealed. When they interviewed me, I told them what I'd seen at the mill. The men in black jackets, the crates, the dark loading dock. The last delivery when the place was completely illuminated. I left out the footprint. They noted my name, and I never heard back. Tonight, as I tell you this story, I still check the rearview mirror, even though I'm off the road. I still sleep with the lights on, because I know something got transferred that night, and it didn't stay in the crate. If you ever find yourself doing a routine freight run at midnight, check the paperwork, check the destination, ask questions. Because in the dark, while you're driving empty highways, someone may be riding with you in the trailer, or in your mirror. Thanks for listening to the Midnight Delivery. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell for more stories like this, narrated by an actual human. This has been Velvet Dread. Sleep well, if you can.